All right, let's dive in. Today, we are going to explore the absolutely incredible therapeutic power of yogic practices. And I mean, we're going to see how this ancient system is so much more than just what you might do in a typical yoga class. It's really a profound blueprint for health and well-being. So let's just get right to it. The first big question we have to ask is yoga just exercise? I mean, for a lot of us, that's what it is, right? It's about stretching, holding some poses, maybe getting a good workout. But what if I told you that's barely scratching the surface? What if there's a whole deep, holistic system underneath? Okay, so when we say yogic practices, what are we actually talking about? Well, think of it this way. It's about using all these ancient paths and techniques, things like hatha or ashtanga. But the goal, the real goal, isn't just to get fit. It's to achieve this complete, holistic health for your body, your mind, and your spirit. The whole package. Now, this next point is absolutely crucial, so lean in for this one. Yoga's ultimate, top-level spiritual goal is something called moksha, or liberation. But for our purposes, in a therapeutic sense, it's really a powerful supportive therapy. It's not some magic pill that cures everything. Instead, think of it like building a super strong foundation for a house. It works by strengthening your body's core systems, your immune system, your nervous system, all that good stuff, so that you're just fundamentally healthier. So let's start right there, with that foundation. It makes sense to begin with the stuff we can really feel and touch, right? The most tangible parts of the practice, how we use our bodies, and maybe, just as important, what we put in our bodies. There's this amazing line from the sage Patanjali's Yoga Sutras that it perfectly nails the whole idea of a yoga posture, or what we call an asana. It goes, stiram sukham asanam, and what that means is the posture should be steady and comfortable. Simple, but so profound. And that right there, that gets to the absolute core of it. See, an asana isn't about pushing yourself to the brink, feeling the burn, no pain, no gain. No, it's about finding that sweet spot where you are both stable and completely at ease. It's about creating this feeling of calm and happiness, not just in your muscles, but in your mind too. Okay, look at this comparison. It makes it so clear. On one side, you've got typical exercise. The goal? Physical exertion. The focus? Building muscle. And the result? Yeah, you often feel totally wiped out, right? But then you look at asana. The goal is completely different. Stability and ease. The focus is on balance and posture. And the result? This is the amazing part. You feel both energized and calm. They're just playing two totally different games. And you know what? This whole idea of balance doesn't just stop with how we move. It goes deeper. From a yogic perspective, what you use to fuel your body, what you eat, is every bit as important. And that brings us to this fascinating principle called ahar, which is basically the yogic approach to diet. So if there's one key concept to take away about yogic eating, it's this one, ahara. It means the moderate diet. And let's be clear, this isn't about restriction or counting calories. It's all about balance. The whole idea is to eat fresh, delicious, nourishing food. But here's the trick. You only eat until your stomach is about half full. And this chart breaks it down perfectly. It's actually a pretty simple formula. You fill half your stomach with solid food. Then you leave a quarter of the space for water. And that last quarter, you leave it empty for air to move around. Why? Well, it's believed this is the secret to perfect digestion. You know that heavy, sleepy feeling you get after a big meal? This is designed to prevent exactly that. The old yogic texts actually break food down into two big categories. On one hand, you have pathya foods. Think of these as the good guys. Fresh, easy-to-digest stuff like grains and greens. They're said to build a kind of calm, clear, peaceful energy called sattva. But then, on the other side, you have apathya foods. These are things like stale, reheated, or super oily foods. They're believed to create what's called tamas, which is like a dull, heavy, sluggish energy. So you can see the direct link between what you eat and how you feel. All right, so we've laid down the physical foundation, how we move, what we eat. Now we're ready to go a little deeper. Let's get into some of the really powerful and maybe lesser-known techniques for cleaning things out from the inside and managing our energy. And that brings us to something called the Shatkarmas. The name literally means the 6 actions. And look, these are some seriously powerful and often pretty advanced purification techniques. The core idea here is that in yoga, disease is often seen as stemming from a buildup of toxins in the body. So the Shatkarmas are basically a system for cleaning house, for getting all that gunk out. And it's really important to note, this is the kind of thing you'd want to learn from an experienced teacher. And these 6 actions, they're not random. They make up a complete head-to-toe system for internal hygiene. I mean, you've got practices for cleansing the entire digestive tract, the colon, the nasal passages, even massaging the abs, and cleansing the eyes and sinuses. It's incredibly thorough. So once the body is cleansed and purified, what's next? Well, you have to energize it. And there's this beautiful ancient saying that gives us the key. Pranam param aushadhi. It means prana is the ultimate medicine. And what is prana? It's our vital life force, our energy. It's considered the greatest healer there is. So how do we tap into this ultimate medicine? The answer is a practice called pranayama. It literally translates to expansion of the life force. It's the practice of consciously controlling our breath to control our prana. And here is the secret sauce. When you control your breath, you control your mind. It's almost like a remote control. A calm, steady breath directly leads to a calm, steady mind. It's that simple and that powerful. Which, is the perfect lead-in to what many consider the highest levels of yogic practice. We're moving beyond the body now and dealing directly with training the mind and, just as importantly, how we behave in the world. In the ancient text, the Bhagavad Gita, there's this moment where the question is asked, how do you control this crazy, restless mind? And the answer given is so elegant. It comes down to two keys. The first is abhyasa. That's just consistent, dedicated practice. You have to show up. The second is vairagya, which is this idea of non-attachment, of letting go of the results. It's basically a 1-2 punch for systematically training your own awareness.
And where does this training start? Well, it starts with how we act out in the real world. These are called the yamas, and they're basically 5 ethical guidelines for how we deal with other people. Things like nonviolence, being truthful, not stealing. But here's the cool part. They're not just thou shalt not rules. Think of them as practical tools. When you follow them, you just naturally create less drama and conflict in your life, which saves a ton of mental energy and helps calm your mind.
And then, as a counterpart to the yamas, you have the niyamas. These are the 5 personal observances. So if the yamas are about our outward behavior, the niyamas are all about our inner world. They're disciplines like purity, finding contentment, self-study, all things that help us build a really strong, stable internal environment. Okay, so we've talked about postures, diet, breathing, cleansing, ethics. It's a lot, right? So the big question is, how does it all fit together? Well, it's not a random collection of techniques. They all weave together to form a complete, cohesive blueprint for how to live. And a really simple way to understand this blueprint is to think of it as having 4 main pillars. You've got ahar, which is your diet. We talked about that. Then there's vihar, which is your recreation and your daily routine. After that comes achar, that's your behavior and how you conduct yourself. And finally, vichar, which is all about your thoughts and your mindset. See? Yoga provides a practical guide for every single one of these areas. And honestly, that is the real takeaway here. When you start to actually bring these pillars into your life, yoga stops being this thing you do on a mat for an hour. It just becomes the way you live. It's a complete system designed for one purpose: to create balance, amazing health, and this deep, unshakable sense of peace on the inside. So I'll leave you with a little something to think about. After everything we've just gone through, from the food you eat, to the way you breathe, to your mindset, what's just one single principle that you could maybe start to bring into your life, starting today, to create just a little bit more balance for yourself?